Hi, loves, and welcome back to another episode of Pamtastic on Purpose. Today's episode is about reciprocity as a condition for life, a universal law, a human biological necessity. Life requires exchange, giving, receiving, response. When that exchange breaks, the body knows. This is what happens when giving continues without exchange. It's about patience, and what happens when patience stretches so long that it stops being regulating and starts becoming eroding. It's about what happens to the body when giving continues without being received and without being reciprocated. The truth I want to speak on is about giving into systems that did not receive or reciprocate me for what seems like a lifetime. My body paid for that loyalty, harshly, repetitively. Presently, I'm still not being met or reciprocated in ways that actually serve me. But now, there is polarity and self-fulfillment rather than collapse. And that sentence is not a conclusion, but it is an effect from decades of negative causes. There's a belief that many of us carry, sometimes consciously, sometimes quietly, that if we just keep going, keep trusting, keep giving, keep being devoted, that eventually something will give back. And I'm not saying the pendulum doesn't eventually swing, but not in the ways we usually perceive. We're told you get what you give. Energy circulates. Devotion is rewarded. Patience is wisdom. And when nothing changes, we don't question the system. We question ourselves. We don't say, this environment cannot receive me. We rearrange and try again and again. We say, I must not be giving enough. I must not be patient enough. I must not be aligned enough. I must be missing something. So we give more. We try harder. We adjust. We learn more. We do a million different tactics. And yet, the silence remains. Relief never arrives. We wonder why. And the emptiness deepens. A human cannot only give, not spiritually, emotionally, or biologically. Every living system requires input, output, feedback. When output continues without feedback, the body does not register generosity. It registers leakage. And leakage doesn't feel harmful at first. It feels like tiredness that rest doesn't fix, motivation slowly draining, inflammation without a clear cause, a quiet loss of vitality, a sense of aging without any time passing. Because the vessel keeps offering and nothing ever comes back. And here's where it gets a little dangerous, if I'm being honest. People praise patience. They praise devotion. They praise emotional capacity. So when the body starts breaking down, the answer becomes, be more patient, hold more, ask for less, stay devoted. But the issue was never patience. The issue was continued giving in an environment that could not receive or reciprocate. No organism survives that indefinitely. This is not about blame, because sometimes people can't reciprocate. Sometimes systems don't have resources. Sometimes timing is wrong. Sometimes the container is too small. Sometimes the only limit is actually not you. That doesn't make anyone bad, but it does make continued giving unsustainable. And calling that unsustainability a spiritual failure does real harm. Before the mind understands, the body says, I don't want to show up like this anymore. Something feels heavy. Feeling invisible even when present. Being tired in a way that doesn't make sense. Those aren't signs of weakness or failure. They're signs of unreceived giving. The body is honest about exchange long before language catches up. Now I move into, you get what you give. Man, I used to love that phrase. You get what you give. Isn't that true? It can be. But it's not always this or that. And when we get to this thought of black or white, either or, that's when it's time to reevaluate. Yes, you get what you give. And sometimes that phrase assumes circulation. It assumes a responsive environment, a living exchange, a system capable of metabolizing what's offered. But some systems don't circulate. They stall. And when you keep giving inside a stalled system, rebirth doesn't happen. Not because you failed at rebirth, but because you're trying to rebirth inside something that cannot move. Devotion without reception doesn't deepen life. It suspends it. For so long, I didn't understand. I thought I was being faithful. I thought I was being patient. I thought I was doing all the right things. I didn't realize my body was absorbing the cost of loyalty to systems that could never meet me. And that cost accumulated. Quietly. Slowly. Over years. Here's the part that's personal. My environment did not magically shift. Support did not suddenly appear. Belonging did not arrive. What changed was me. Not in the sense of becoming harder or giving less care, but in the sense that there is now wholeness instead of fragmentation. I no longer disappear inside absence. I no longer erode myself to prove devotion. I no longer confuse endurance with alignment. And that doesn't make the lack of reciprocity painless. It makes it legible. So why does this matter collectively? So many people are exhausted and don't know why. They're regulated, they're self-aware, they've done the work, and they're still depleted. Not because they're damaged or because they're a lost cause, but because they've been giving into systems that cannot receive or reciprocate. And instead of naming that reality, they've been told to keep trusting. That's not wisdom. It is misplaced faith. What I'm shedding light upon, without telling anyone what to do, is that this isn't about quitting or burning things down. It's about withdrawing belief from false reciprocity. It's about recognizing when patience has turned into erosion. It's about letting the body's signal be trusted and followed. I'm still here. I'm still present. And I am still devoted to truth. And I no longer give myself away to systems that cannot hold me. not as punishment, not as protection, as accuracy. If this resonates, feel free to walk with me, but only if it leads you back to yourself.